I heard him.
Please help me.
He's right there. Tick-tock. Still. Lest he take you too.
Tick-tock. Tick-tock.
Please help me.
Listen to me, young'un, and take heed ye listen careful like. For I, Jasper Crowd, am done, dusted, beggared, broken, and cursed, and well I deserve it. The coward that I was cost the souls of 12 innocent children, don't you laugh. You would do
Matron says I'm a thief and a liar. Matron of Grimhaven Orphanage, yes, I was. But that was many years ago. At the risk of sounding unkind, I must say, it was never my intent in life to bear responsibility for an orphanage, and certainly not one of such tragic notoriety as Grimhaven. No, that plan was surely the Lord's, and the part I played simply the path he set before me. For my heart's desires were like so many of the gentler sex, and comprised of a loving husband, a home, children of one's own. Unfulfilled dreams, the lot. Please do not mistake me as a heartless woman, for Grimhaven was oft a happy place, and the children joyful and willful. But there hung about the buildings a pall of melancholy that frequently chilled my bones, and I was not the only one to note this strangeness, for I know for a fact it played in our caretaker's mind. Oh yes, this was long before the taking of the children, the tragedy. I would prefer not to discuss those events for my own peace of mind, for I am a sensitive woman who has lived with the sadness for too many years, and the distress lingers still in my heart. You know, the whole saga sent Mr. Crowd, our caretaker, quite mad, dear man. He lived alone in Grimhaven for years after everyone else had long departed. But enough of this, for regret does little to ease the soul. However, I am willing to recall earlier times and more wholesome memories. Mind, that is not to say all events that took place were wholesome, but I fear I am running ahead with my prattle. How I became burdened with the responsibility and care of Grimhaven and those who sheltered within its walls is of little consequence. Suffice to say, I had at one time been a governess and engaged to be married to a young man who did not place the same importance on his word and character as he did on his future prospects. I am surely grateful I discovered his deceit in a timely manner before we were wed, for I was a woman of modest means and good heart, unlike the wealthy young miss whom he eventually married. I heard they were very unhappy together for many, many years. At that time, my employer was a member of Grimhaven's Board of Trustees, and it was his kindness and sympathy towards my plight which resulted in my future being secured through the board's offering me the position of matron. A position of care and responsibility I bore for 23 years. To my mind, the orphans were rather like apples. Some sweet and wholesome, some thick-skinned with a bitter taste, and then there were those who had only a spot or two of rot that needed rooting out with a sharp paring knife to make them wholly good. And lastly, the other kind, thankfully rare, but by far the most distasteful of all. Do you follow my meaning? No? Well, let me explain, dear. For I am speaking of the apple that is plucked from the tree, ripe and sparkling. The apple that takes pride of place in the fruit bowl for its scent, color, and beauty of God's design. But when cut with a knife, its true core is exposed. A core that is brown, rotten through and infested with writhing maggots. Oh yes, we had an orphan such as I have just described. An evil boy. And I have little doubt that he was in some way to blame for the terrible events that took place, though I know not how. 'Tis true the devil makes work for idle hands, and I instructed my staff to ensure there was little opportunity for such. Every morning before lessons the girls would perform domestic duties, whilst the boys drew water from the well and swept the yard. After a simple but wholesome breaking of the fast, lessons were held until lunch, after which the children worked out in the orchard or upstairs in the sewing and carpentry rooms, the results of their toil being sold to contribute to their charitable upkeep. Prayers were conducted morning and night, and 4 times on the Sabbath day, in between 2 sermons preached under the wandering eyes of Pastor Cuthbert Povey, a bow-legged, inferior example of a man, for whom I had little time or respect, save that he did appear genuinely kind to the children. However, over time it became abundantly clear to me that his ministrations towards some members of staff were rather more familiar than godly, and combined with an alarming decrease in our cellared bottles of communion wine, I was little sorry to be rid of him. Odd, though, that he should leave behind his priestly attire on departing. The constabulary suspected foul play on his part, but I doubt he would have had the wits or capability to carry out such a plan, for he appeared weak and spineless, a self-serving fellow to my memory. I noted, too, that his garments were not all Cuthbert Povey left behind. Marguerite, the cook, the object of his dalliance, though not the only one, was also discarded, and in a dreadful state, too. Her reputation, such that it was in tatters, and as I recall, she moved away to her sister's out east for a good 9 months after Povey's departure. Foolish girl. Oh, she was capable enough in the kitchen, but prone to the most hysterical outbursts, and without a maternal bone in her body. She was intolerant of the children, more especially the girls, and at times cruel. Marguerite would repeatedly confiscate Dorothy's doll. What was it named? Gloria, that's it. The wee girl adored it. A gift from her late mother, as I recall. Where was I? Ah, yes. Marguerite would place the doll high out of Dorothy's reach, though the child had done no wrong. It was a heartless trick, and one I chastised her for on many occasions. Marguerite, with cruel, hard crow's eyes, and likewise a penchant for glittering objects. I blame her for the disappearance of my beautiful music box, Parisian, you know, with a dancing ballerina and very exotic. I would swear on the Holy Bible that she was the one who took it, if only the Lord would permit me to do so. Her confidant was Hattie, one of the older girls, and a cunning little light-fingered miss, too. With a forked tongue like a lizard, her lies were boundless, so perhaps it was her. But no, it is not fair of me to accuse one of the unfortunate taken ones of such a mischief. I am certain it was Marguerite. But the boy, the evil child to whom I referred earlier, Rupert Murdoch. He came to us as a 5-year-old, his parents and baby sister having succumbed to typhoid in the city. It was a miracle the child survived it all, for his hair and clothes were matted with filth and infested with vermin. He appeared quite steady and placid of nature, an extraordinarily pretty child, as I recall, and wholly undisturbed by the loss of his loved ones. I never heard him ask for any of them, not ever. Like the shiny apple that...
Madness! 'Tis all of it a raving madness, that man places his trust in an almighty God, religion, faith, and the sullied hands of priests. Pah! You think I know not of what I speak. In that case you know me not, nor my story. For I believe more now, if not in the power of the Lord God Almighty, than in his fallen creation Lucifer, than I ever did as a teetotaling man of the cloth. With monstrous pomposity I piously postured and posed, as if I were a heavenly gatekeeper, and the poor misguided wretches who sought my counsel would surely be comforted by my divinely inspired platitudes. But draped in a cloak of mourning, I was nothing more than a black, flapping cormorant of a man, a touch of white at my throat paying no homage to purity, but to cowardice. Cowardice, weakness and fear. For cowardice and weakness were the blood and bones of the man before you. But fear is what drove me to Grimhaven, far from the prying eyes and wagging tongues of the English clergy and parishioners both. Those who knew of and had long tolerated my misdemeanors, and they were many, were baying for my blood. Ha! 'Twas tainted blood at that, with thirst for the drink, the gambling, the calamitous spiralling into debt and depravity. Until, in a darkened alley, I clutched a cold, dead hand in my own, pleading for God's mercy and forgiveness for that departing soul, whilst all the while my bloodied face and splintered knuckles bore testament to the fact. 'Twas I who had helped him along. My only choice was to run, for the church brought me no shelter and even less mercy. Run! Run, or face the old Bailey's wrath and the hangman's noose, if I were that fortunate. For the thought of my remaining years stultified behind grey stone walls, be them church or prison, affected my composure far more than in having my life snuffed from this earth. Why? Why? Well, pray tell me, how could one truly fear the judgment of a God whose very existence one questioned. Years within the bosom of Mother Church had done little to weaken my suspicions that holy men are wont to line their pockets and bellies with their misered pickings from the poor. They were but agents.
I can hear him. Be still.
What's in the box? Incy spider crawled up the water spout. Down came the rain and washed the spider out.
It seems I've been here forever. Forever. Sinking in this swampy blackness. Blackness. I felt like that at the orphanage too, as if I'd been there forever. I don't remember anything except always being the eldest, the responsible one, and having my hair tugged, my ears pulled by matron when any of the small ones were naughty. It was always my fault. I'm tired, so tired. I'd sleep tired and wake tired, and the chores, they just went on and on, like a baby's whining. Matron says I'm a thief and a liar, and that I'll burn in hell forever for my sins. Though it's not the fire, but the chill that aches my bones, and this nothing place so cold. I did.
Beware the huntsman, for he lurks when you least expect him.
darkness is so cold, so cold. Oh, what I would give for the warmth of a single candle. Papa, where are you? Can you find me? Papa always said that the darkness was my friend and not to be afraid. But Papa's darkness was warm and comforting, and Mama was there. We would huddle together in the big, soft bed beneath the beautiful quilt, whilst Papa would tell us stories of the old country, his bella Italia. Oh, I miss them. I remember the rich melody of Papa's voice, his face in the flickering candlelight. Mama, too, for she was a great beauty. Papa called her Angela Bella Sofia, his beautiful angel. Mama is an angel now, for the Lord took her when I was but 9 years old. Papa had not the means to pay for her medicine, and by the time his family sent money to America, it was too late. Poor Mama. Poor Papa. On occasion, Papa would allow me to accompany him on the streets, to look after Peppy, our monkey, and to mind the organ whilst he drank birra with the men. Papa played beautiful music, and Peppy would dance and perform tricks whilst I passed a hat amongst the crowd. But there were those who had no respect for the art of the organ grinder. They would mock and abuse us, throw stones at Papa and Peppy, and tell us to move on. One beastly man called Papa Guinea and spat in our hat. Papa was never bothered. Organ grinding is an honorable profession, he would tell me. If we were back in Italia, the people would worship us. But no one worshipped Papa in America, except me, and I was not enough. Sometimes his eyes would sparkle with tears, and he would squeeze my hand, saying, Io sono triste oggi. I am sad today. I watched Papa.
Grimhaven. It was not my choice, and this was not the course I would set for my life, nor the story I would have written had I held a pen. But alas, I'm not a writer, merely the final chapter of a tale written generations before, of famine, fishermen, navigators, gold diggers, and debt. A story which ends with myself, Edvard, 15 years old and far from my Norwegian homeland, penniless and stranded, like a sea trout in a net, entangled by a force of which I have no understanding. For the one who casts this net reeks of horror, of fear, and sinks my stomach to the floor whenever I hear his approach. It is like being in a hypnotist's trance, for I can think of no happy thoughts to buoy my spirit, but am overcome by the ceaseless ticking of his timepieces, pocket watches of all descriptions. In this place,
I've been gasping for air since the day I was born, according to my pa. Ma died in childbirth. I was her first, last, and only. For she was sickly too, Pa said, for as far back as he'd known her. Ma was only 23 when she passed. A terribly short tenure on this earth, I know. Yet on the days when the coughing is at its worst, and every breath demands effort as if 10 great men were standing on my chest, crushing the very life from me. On those days, I understand. Me poor ma had 23 years of hard labor, but committed no crime. Till peace was found in the deepest, most restful sleep of all. 23 years. It was long enough.
John hears. They mock me, idiot mute, but John hears. John's mind is sharp, thoughts razor sharp and cutting, quick too. Thoughts waterfall, tumble from mind. But John's voice wounded, like bird that cannot fly. Words break, shatter as wetted wine glass when John speaks. No sense, nonsense. They tease, torment me. John shunned, lonely boy John. They laugh. John angry.
fix. I'll fix you. Damn you. Damn the lot of you, straight to hell. For I don't believe in God, and I ain't scared of the devil neither. Don't you try and cross me, none of you. For your bullying and teasing has done me in. And I ain't taking no more guff from a single one of you. Not now, not ever. So leave me be, or you'll be feeling the full force of my fury. Especially you, Hattie. For you're nothing but a mean, scheming little snitch, telling Matron I took her hairbrush when you know I did no such thing. Why, I'll wager you've hidden it somewhere. Most likely tossed it down the well, alongside the other loot I've seen you pilfer. Lordy, I hate it here at Grimhaven.
Hickory dickory
For
dock,
8 years. 8 years,
back the clock.
8 years Tobin Thackeray, was under the employ of Grimhaven's Board of Trustees. I fulfilled the prescribed duties of woodwork teacher to the boys during the day and was dormitory master at night. I kept them in check, too. Lord knows it took all of my strength and more. For they were ill-mannered good-for-nothings with little more than an ounce of common sense amongst a lot of them. I'm not a religious man, and I didn't subscribe to the placards Matron insisted on hanging in my workroom. I'm a man of science and reason, placing my faith in what I see and know to be true. Had I been permitted, the motto I would have hung on the door would have read, "Keep working, you unloved bastard brats." Oh, they had their own pecking order, much like the barnyard fowl. The bigger lads kept the younger ones in check and saved me the trouble of delivering many a clout around the ear hole. There was one.
A step beyond your torchlight gaze lie hedgerows set in puzzle maze. Twixt these rows 12 headstones lay. Reach them all to save the day. But patience, first, seek out a key if you're to set the lost ones free. This key to mysteries yet unseen unlocks the gate on Halloween. So on October 31, bring key to gate, the spell's undone. There are souls to save and work to do, but now the Huntsman's hunting you.